Welcome to our live today. Welcome to Handy Quilter. My name's Kim Sandberg, and today I have with me.
I'm Belsie Schleter, the Southeast RSM.
And I'm just so excited to be filming with you.
Kim, let me tell you, I'm so excited to have this opportunity to be here and just see the works of everything. It's an amazing opportunity just to see the heart that goes into this.
Oh, well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're here. So Belsie lives literally on the other side of the country from us.
Yeah.
And so normally I see her once a week in a virtual meeting, and we kind of say hi. So it's really fun for me to have her here in the studio. So for the live this morning, we're going to just have some fun quilting, do a little bit of some fun educational, hopefully inspirational content for you guys. What we've got this morning is we are doing this really cute little mini quilt designed by Shauna Westergaard, one of our national educators. She is she's actually quilted this one for us before. The one that she's quilted is hanging right here behind Belsie. She did a lot of fun things on it, but since we've, it's the time of year, right? Kids are going back to school. So we thought it would be really fun to lean into this. We do have, this is the pattern that Shauna has made, and we will let you guys know how you can get this pattern. It's really great. I have to tell you guys, I last week usually try to work from home one day and do a little creative time, and I whipped up 2 of these in just a couple of hours. Great instructions, really well written, easy to follow.
That's awesome.
And it was fun too, because I got to use some really fun scraps. So we can take a look here at my pieces.
Great, Kim. I love that you mentioned that it's a great little scrap buster. And with back to school, it's a great teacher appreciation gift.
Yes.
Or even, just like, hey, welcome to my homeroom. So yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
I hadn't even thought of that, but you are exactly right. You are exactly right. I even thought how fun it would be to make a set of these to use as placemats for like that first back to school day.
Oh yeah, that would be so fun.
And I've got 2 of them that I'm making here. I have 2 kids, and so I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that. But my 2 kids are both in college. I don't really know that they're going to be hanging out at home for the first day of school. But I had a lot of fun here. I found some really fun fabric. I did this first one. And you guys, all of these fabrics are from my, honestly, it's from my scrap bin. I can't even tell you who the designers are. So I know some of you are going to ask, but I had some fun. This first one here, if we look down here at this one, I actually found this really cute fabric in my stash that had these little kids on it. So I put them in the windows. Isn't that just so fun? And then I found some fabrics that had words on it for the tires. And then this is probably going to be kind of hard for you guys to see, but the background is actually a white on white with writing on it too.
Oh, cute. I love that.
Totally appropriate for school. Huh?
Absolutely. And it's in cursive too.
Yes, it is in cursive, which, yes, my kids were lucky and they did learn cursive. So very, very good there. So what we're going to be doing is just having some fun today, focusing on quilting these 2. The challenge was given me to quilt one of them using free motion techniques, and the other one quilting with ProStitcher. So we're going to start with free motion. Okay. I feel like free motion's a little bit more physical work. And so we're going to do that first.
Absolutely. We're going to get our hand movements in today.
Exactly. Exactly. We're going to have some fun here. We're going to do some free motion. We're going to do rulers. We're just going to have some fun with this. So the first thing I wanted to do was just give you guys a little tip. So on the machine here, I have the ruler base on. And we'll scoot this over. So I have all my stuff on here ready to quilt. I have to have my glasses and my scissors and all my stuff. If I scoot the machine over here, you guys will be able to see I've got the ruler base on this Amara here. And the ruler base is really important when you're using rulers. It's important for safety, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You want to keep all your fingies.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And what it does is it creates a nice solid surface that when I lay down a ruler, it's not going to rock or move. And it's easy for you guys to see from this perspective without the quilt in between. You can see how this ruler base fully supports that ruler. So it's important to have that. But one thing that you run into with the ruler base is when you're quilting here near the edge, you can see that my ruler base is right here near the edge of my fabric. And if I have my clamps over here clamped to this edge, it's actually going to bump up against that. And that kind of, it gets annoying. It just, it's not a terrible thing, but it just gets annoying. So I'm going to show you guys a little tip. I've got some leftover binding here. And I'm just going to take and cut 2 strips that are about the same length. And then I'm going to pin these to the edge of my fabric. And what this does is this essentially creates extenders for my side clamps. Have you ever done this before?
I have not. That is really smart. That would have saved me a lot of turmoil trying to figure out how I was going to get it done without being at the edge of my quilt.
Yeah, without bumping up against it. And then what I'm going to do is just take my clamps and I'm going to fold back the edge of this binding. And the only reason why I'm folding back the edge of the binding is just because it's not cut exactly to length. And I don't want to actually adjust my side clamps because I've got them set up here. And then I'll grab the other one. And what this does is I just gave myself like an extra 6 inches of room. So as I move over here closer to the edge, you see that I'm not bumping up against those side clamps.
So smart. I love that. That's great. So Kim, I had a question for you on the ruler base.
Yes.
The ruler base that you're using is specifically for the Amara. Do we make different ruler bases for different machines?
We do. We do. We actually have a ruler base, one ruler base for each family of machines. So the Moxie has its specific ruler base. The Amara machines have its specific ruler base, and then the Infinity has its own ruler base. And if you happen to own one of our retired or vintage machines, if you go to our website and you don't already have a ruler base, you can go to our website or to one of our local retailers and you can pick up a ruler base that will fit your machine correctly. It all has to do with where the little knobs are on the side of the machine, and then also the size of that the bottom of the machine there, that throat space. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. That's good. That's good to know. So you definitely want to make sure you're picking up the right product for your machine.
Exactly, because it's not going to fit if you don't get the right one. And if you're wondering which machine you have, how would you recommend that somebody figures out which machine they have?
Well, there's a few different ways that I would say you can look at your machine. So you actually, as you notice on our machine, it has a name. Most of our machines will actually have a name. It will say Amara 20. It will say Forte. It will say Infinity. Another good way to find out is your local retailer. Most of our local retailers do keep record of what you purchased, even if it was years ago, right? You become part of the family with that retailer. And another resource is calling Handy Quilter. You could always call us and we'd be happy to help assist you to find out what machine you have.
Exactly, exactly. You can even snap a picture of your machine if you're not sure which one it is. You can go to handyquilter.com, and if you go down to the bottom of the page, there's a spot that says where you can submit a request. You can essentially send in a question, and you can attach a photo to that. And so you could attach a photo of your machine and say, hey, which machine do I have? And then you'd have that information. So,
don't you just love technology?
I know.
That's
it's
amazing.
Really cool. There's lots of ways that we can help you figure out which machine you have if you're not exactly sure. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start doing some quilting on this. So I wanted to do some rulers here to start with, and I'm going to start with my favorite ruler. And by favorite ruler, I mean most used ruler.
Okay.
Right. Do you have a most used ruler?
I don't know if I do, Kim. Quite honestly, I'm definitely a ProStitcher girly through and through, as I said yesterday. But if I had to say, if I was going to do any sort of ruler work, again, I really do love the Versatool just because I am very indecisive on my preference on rulers. Like I said, I love ProStitcher, but when I want to do any sort of ruler work, being able to have the ability to do multiple different methods with one ruler really makes a difference to me.
Yeah. So, and I love that because the Versatool is very versatile.
Yes, it is.
So this is the ruler that I use the most. It's called the Skinny Ruler. And it is just a nice, long, straight ruler. And the thing that I really love about it is it fits really comfortably in my hand. It's easy for me to move around. And you guys will notice as I hold this against the packaging here, I have some little spots of something stuck on the back here. So this is Handy Grip, and it's kind of like sandpaper. And what it does is it prevents the ruler from rocking or slipping around. It just gives it a little bit of extra grip. I really love this grip. I love to use it too on the back of rulers for cutting. Like I put it on all of my cutting rulers so that they don't do that little
the accidental little shift.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go ahead and do some stitch in the ditch around this. Yeah, I think we'll just start there. And then I was telling Belsey earlier, just before we started, I'm like, you're going to help me make some decisions on how to quilt this year.
Official decision maker.
Yeah. So she's going to be deciding which type of designs I should quilt. And I'm just going to put this out there. You guys can definitely speak up in the comments if you guys want to see how to do something. So for this first hour, we're going to focus on free motion, and it could be really fun to do a lot of different free motion techniques here on this. So we just want to make sure that you guys know, be sure and comment. I know that we're going to be doing a giveaway. I don't actually see written on the board what our hashtag is.
HQ School
Okay.
Oh,
So we're going to be doing a $50 gift card giveaway for handyquilter.com. And the hashtag is hashtag HQ School Bus, which I love. It's all one word. Make sure that there's no spaces in there. Brianne's going to put it up on the screen, on the bottom of the screen there, so that you guys can see that. So let's, so be sure and comment with that. And, you know, I just realized too, we forgot to talk about the promo that's going on right now. So I'm going to let you do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we actually have a great opportunity if you are deciding to step up or level up your quilting game, or, you know, you have thought about, I think I'm ready for an upgrade, or you've been on the edge of, do I want a long arm? Do I, you know, is this going to elevate my quilting? Is this something that I need? If you're right on the edge, we actually have a fantastic bundle with any purchase of a machine or ProStitcher. And it is 3 different options. So you have the opportunity to pick a roll of batting. And I know yesterday when I was talking to Tina, that roll of batting and the thread kit that comes with that would have been great just to get started at this point, right? We build up piles of quilt tops. And at that point, you know, we're just really needing the equipment to get them done.
Yeah.
So having that roll of batting and that thread just to kind of get you ready and started, you're pretty much ready to go once you get your machine in-house and installed. The other option that we have is a highlight. So above us, we have this fantastic highlight, and I absolutely love this highlight. I always need any sort of additional lighting. I had mentioned prior that I am actually very blind. So I wear glasses pretty much on a daily basis. And when I'm on camera, I will wear my contacts so you can't see them. But any additional lighting makes a big difference. And so we have different setups for different machines, different sizes, of course, as far as your frame size. The one that we have here is actually integrated to our frame, the Studio 3 frame, which is absolutely amazing. It's magnetic, and just the lighting elevates the whole space. And then we have for our ProStitcher individuals out there, right? If you decided that you wanted to get a ProStitcher to your current system, or if you wanted to get your setup with a ProStitcher, you have a $500 gift card to ProStitcher.com. And ProStitcher Premium already comes with so many designs. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it over 800, 900?
Yeah, it's almost 1,000 designs.
That's a lot. But every once in a while, right, we always come to a stop point. You were telling us yesterday you made this quilt for your nephew, a golf quilt, right? And so she went on ProStitcher.com and found a little golf design, right? And so if we have something very specific, it's great to be able to go through that library and see what other designs. We always need more designs, the same way we always need more fabric. So if you do have any additional questions, I know Brianne is putting down a number in the screen. We have our sales team on call, and you can always give them a call if you have any additional questions as to, you know, what bundle is right for me. If you have any questions on the machine, I also did want to take the time to mention, and we had mentioned it yesterday as well, we are doing trade ups. So if you have an older machine, such as an HQ16, or if you have a system that you purchased a while ago, or, you know, a system that is just not fitting your needs anymore, you've outgrown it, or, you know, it might be a different brand, please call that number. We're happy to assist you. We have participating retailers for the Straight Up program, and we are happy to answer any additional questions you might have on that.
Exactly.
Yep.
Good job. Good job. And Belsey is super excited that she's on camera and not answering the phone.
I am. Sorry, guys. I love y'all. I'd rather be quilting with Kim.
And I'm so excited to have her here. So, okay. So I think we've got all the business out of the way.
I think so.
That means we just get to sit back and do some quilting, which I'm super excited about. I was very excited to come into work today. I was like, even though I'm doing a live and filming takes a little extra work, I just get to sit and quilt for a while. So
Yeah,
this is fantastic.
It's relaxing, you know.
Mhm.
It's definitely an outlet. At
Yes.
least for me, it is. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's always a good day when I get to turn on the quilting machine and do some quilting. So, okay, well, we already talked about the ruler base. I'm going to start with doing some quilting around the school bus to kind of create a perimeter for us of what we want to do. And I want to mention too that if we look here closely at the machine, I have got the Sherpa on here. And the Sherpa is really important when we're quilting with rulers. It has a higher profile on the bottom of the foot here, on the bottom, on the toe, as I like to call it. I don't know if that's actually real lingo, but we have a taller toe on this foot. And what it does is it prevents chances of that ruler popping up and over and having a very, not great day. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my thread up and then get this ready to stitch. And then I want you guys to take a look here at the screen for a minute. So we do have a ProStitcher on this machine, but one of the cool things is when you add a ProStitcher to an Amara, it integrates the Amara console. So you guys can see here on the screen, I have the Amara console up. And on this, I have options that I can go through and pick. I want to be in regulated stitch. So when something's green on this screen, that means that that's what's selected. So I have regulated. I have 11 stitches per inch, which is great for free motion, right? I'm in cruise control, and I'm going to make sure I want to be in cruise control. But since I'm doing rulers, I am going to slow down this motor speed. So, Belsie, do you talk to people about the regulation modes on there?
Yes,
do you want to explain the difference between cruise and precision?
Yeah, absolutely. So I find it really interesting that you have selected cruise. And there's two big components and two big differences between those two icons, I guess, as we call it, right? So the P for precision and the C for cruise. The way I explain it, and the easiest way that I would consider explaining it to someone, if I was just talking to someone at a show, right? Or even a quilter asking me this question is cruise. What we're going to see is you drop down that speed. We're going to see that needle continuously move, right? And depending on the speed that you selected, that is your speed that your needle is going to be moving at. Your precise, the way I like to think about it is it's moving at your precise movement, right? So it's not going to move unless you move it yourself. So I actually wanted to ask you, why did you select cruise over precise?
So precision for me, if I stop moving the machine, the needle stops cycling, just like you said. And sometimes I forget and I then bump the machine. And especially when I'm doing ruler work, I might end up with a little bit of a jiggle in my stitch line. If I have it on cruise and I put it on a very low cruise, like 25, so that means that my needle's going to cycle 25 times in a minute is what it means. So that is it really is slow. It's never going to drop below that speed. It's just a reminder to me that if I pause for a second to think about where I'm going next, it's like a reminder to me to turn off the machine with the needle down so that I don't get a little jiggle in my stitch line. That's the reason why I do it. So yeah. And one of the things I love is we have these two stitch modes and you can choose what works best for you.
Exactly.
The trick is to try both. Just
Absolutely.
be sure and try both. The other thing that I'm going to do here is on the Amara, I absolutely love this. We have adjustable handlebars and they're independently adjustable handlebars. And I'm going to show you guys how I normally adjust this and then I'm going to move it back because of filming. We have the camera over here on the to my right. And so normally when I am quilting with rulers, I will drop my right handlebar down and I will bring it out a little bit. And I will have right here. I will have my handlebar right here. It actually gives me more control at the needle. The closer I am to the needle with my handlebars, the more control I have over the movement. But I'm guessing that this is probably obstructing everybody's view. So I'll go ahead and pop it back up. But I am going to leave, as long as everybody can see, if I get the thumbs up, I am going to leave this handlebar turned in. Okay, I want to make sure. I have, like a lot of quilters, I've got a little bit of carpal tunnel. And when my hand is in this up position like this all day, I really feel the fatigue on it. If I can keep my hand more like this, and especially to be able to rest my hand on the poles here. It doesn't put as much strain on it, and my hands just don't get as tired.
Wow.
Which is nice.
I mean, the fact that that's even a thought, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely love that, being able to have your adjustable handlebars. And like you said, it's definitely having that control. I touched based on that yesterday, especially when you're doing any sort of micro stitching or anything that needs to be up close. Being able to control those handlebars is very important. Kim, I have been noticing as you're moving the machine, there's this little red dot that keeps pointing in your needle position. What exactly is it that I'm looking at?
Yeah, so that's the laser to the needle. And I absolutely love this feature on the Amara because it tells me exactly where I'm going to drop that stitch. So when you do stitch in the ditch,
Looks like we might have a question.
yeah.
Is that on the Moxie as well, or is it-
So the question is, which machines have the laser to the needle? So it's everything in the Amara family and the Infinity. The Moxie does not come with us because it's a budget-friendly machine. There's a few things that we don't have on there, but don't worry. You can actually purchase what's called our pinpoint laser needle, and you can add it onto the Moxie if you want to add this feature to yours. You can absolutely find it. It's on the Handy Quilter website or at local retailers. They can absolutely help you out with that. So I love this though, because it allows me to see exactly where I'm going to drop that stitch. And when you're doing stitch in the ditch, I made sure that I pressed all my seams to the dark side and I'm going to stitch in that ditch right there to the side. So as you mentioned, glasses, guys, I have to put the glasses on. It's official. I'm there. And one of the other things I'm going to do is if we take a look at the screen here, I'm going to adjust this so that my needle will stop in the down position. This is really important when you're using rulers. That way you don't get that little wiggle wobble when you start stitching, start and stop stitching. So I'm going to go ahead and you guys can see how slowly that needle's moving if I hold still. And then I'm just going to placing my needle, my ruler that 1/4 inch away. We're just going to go ahead and stitch right in that ditch. Now, when I come up to this corner here, it's important that I stop anytime I'm going to move my ruler. An important rule to remember when you're using rulers is the machine is moving or the ruler is moving, not both at the same time. Now, of course, you can break that rule and I can show you guys later how to do that. But especially when you're doing something like this straight line stitching, you just want to make sure that you're being safe. Only one of those two things is moving at a time.
Well, you know what, Kim, I would also say if you're new to rulers or starting with rulers, I would definitely recommend your tip on whether your machine is moving or your ruler's moving and not both.
Yep. Absolutely. Another tip is if you guys see the way my hand is placed there, I never quilt farther than my hand is where this ruler is stabilized. I've hit the end of where my fingers are here, so I'm going to stop and adjust and move my ruler over so that I'm staying safe. And when you use rulers, I always think of this as a little bit of gymnastics because we maybe get to do a little bit of finding interesting positions of where to place our hands so that we can have that ruler right where we need it. So I'm going to stitch around the outside of this little bus here, the school bus. And then, Belsie, I want you to be thinking about what I should quilt next.
Oh, don't worry. I'll be plotting.
Okay.
Kim, I did want to ask you, I know you touched on the skinny ruler and that's what you're currently using. I know we do have a ditch ruler, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we do.
Is there a reason why you chose this ruler versus the other, outside of it being the most comfortable ruler in your hand?
To be honest, the reason why I grabbed this one first was it was the one at the top of the pile. Sometimes we do that. If I was doing a lot of just ditch stitching, I absolutely would have went for the ditch ruler. It's really great because it's got some little extra things that help us line up and do that ditch stitching really easily. It also has a fun extra design on the other side. And don't be afraid, sometimes we have to do a little backtracking. The goal is always when you're quilting is to not have to cut your thread, stop your thread and start over again. So figuring out ways that you can travel is important.
Can you show me questions about quilting
Oh.
side? because they're worried about this gap. They don't think the foot is going to actually fit on it.
Absolutely. Okay, so I love this. I just had somebody hand me, actually this is the mini scallop ruler, and it's just a little bit different than the ditch ruler, but I can absolutely show you guys what we're talking about. So the ditch ruler has these little, the little knobs here at the end that allow you to keep things lined up and make sure that your foot fits inside of there. So what you actually want to do is you line up, because you are stitching a 1/4 inch away from the edge of the ruler. What you do is you line up the line that is right in here and the line that is right there that is a 1/4 inch away from this edge. You line that up with the edge of the seam that you want to quilt against. And then everything is lined up exactly where it should be. Now I have to go around this little wheel here, so you guys aren't going to see me lining that up. But when I get over to this side, I'll stitch up this side again and show you guys what I'm talking about. So yeah, we have a lot of rulers that do different things. And depending on how you quilt and the design you're looking for, more than likely we have a ruler that will fit your need. Now, one thing to note is quilting with rulers is never fast, but it's precise. And that's what you're going for when you quilt with rulers. So taking that little bit of extra time is all worth it.
Yes, we have a question.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
You go for that one.
so the question was, what do you do if you quilt too far? Do you just take out your seam ripper and stitch it out, or take the stitches out? I would say it's personal preference, to be completely honest. I am not quilting to enter a contest or anything. If nobody's going to see it other than yourself. We are our worst critics. If you want to pick it out, absolutely, you can. If not, if it's right past, we have our background, it could get hidden with another design that's going to go right over top of it. So I would say it's definitely personal preference. Yeah. Would you say?
Oh yeah, definitely. I always like to say once is a mistake, twice is a design choice. So if you repeat it somewhere else, it just looks like it was on purpose anyway. That's what I tell people. So, okay, let me show you guys over here. So I have this edge lined up now. I am lining up the edge of the fabric with this little marker line right there. And then I have it also down here because this seam does actually continue down into the white. So I have that lined up at both ends, and you can see that the foot just snugs right in there, exactly where it should be. And it is lined up so that we can just do that nice little stitch in the ditch right along that edge there down to the edge. And then I can move it along and readjust it as needed. So that's how you use the rulers like that have those little guides on the bottom of it to help you line things up. All right, where should we go next on this?
So I'm thinking we should probably do the inside.
Okay.
And it being a school bus, right? There's two thoughts that I have in mind, right? What if we do something a little funky crazy, right? And we add some meander with some little stars, or we could just do some meandering.
I love meanders with some stars. Okay, especially because we have this fun star here in the middle. Maybe we can work our way over to the star. I was actually thinking it would be fun to do some straight line ruler work in there. What do you think?
I think that would look awesome.
Okay. All right. So I am going to go ahead and just start doing some meander around in here. So meander is like simple. And I am going to throw some little loops in there too. We'll do a little star. Now here's one thing, and I did not change my stitch precision in this. I mean, my stitches, my cruise speed on this. So if you look at this little star here, you guys might be able to see up here at the top of the star, one of my points got kind of cut off and rounded a little bit. So if we go back to the screen here and I look at my Amara console, what I'm going to do is I am going to up the speed here on my cruise to 250. That means that this needle is going to be cycling at least 250 times a minute. And as I start stitching, you guys will notice here that when I come to a star point, you see that that needle keeps moving. And it means that I get nice sharp points on those stars, which is fantastic. It's more of the look I'm going for. So is that kind of what you were thinking,
Yes,
Belsie?
it is. That is super cute. So, Kim, on those points that you were talking about,
Mhm.
right, and making sure that we get that exact corner, does your speed have anything to do with that, or is that just all on our stitch regulation?
That actually is more on the stitch regulation, because you guys see how even though I'm like actually pausing a little bit at those corners as I stitch, I'm getting those couple of extra stitches being taken. And so that gives me a nice sharp point at those corners. Just for a contrast, let's switch it over to precision. And you guys are going to be able to see here. Let me go like this. And I'll come up here and do another start. And do you see how when I stop there, the machine actually stops? It doesn't keep doing that stitching. You see the difference there? So
the Amara is completely stitch regulated, but if I wanted no stitch regulation, I can switch to that.
absolutely. So if I want to be the stitch regulator, which is the way that I think of it, I can switch over to manual. And you mentioned pebbles earlier. Maybe we'll have to do some pebbles on this this little school bus. I was actually thinking maybe doing pebbles in the bottom half because it's driving down a road.
Oh, I love that.
That would be kind of cute, right?
Yeah.
We could switch over and we can show everybody how manual works.
Okay.
So something a little fun here. All right, we'll do one last star here.
Would you like to switch your foot to the glide foot so we could see through?
Yeah, we could do that. As a matter of fact, you know what? We're going to be using the glide foot with the ProStitcher on the next one.
Okay.
What if we switched over to the micro foot?
All right.
Okay, we've got a question. What is the question we have? Okay.
Can you just show how you put this under your foot?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we've got a question on how to use one of the grid line rulers. So let me put this one down here, and I'll get this down here so you guys can see the grid line rulers. So a grid line ruler, have you ever used one of these, Belsie?
I can't say I have.
So these are pretty cool. They're for making like piano keys or like matchstick quilting. So maybe we could do a little bit of matchstick quilting along the edge over here. I can show you guys how to do this. So the way that you get your machine inside this little slot here is with your needle up, you just take and slide it right over that foot. And then the foot's inside of it and it is ready to rock and roll. And then as you can see, I can spin that in whatever direction so that, for example, I'm always going to be quilting against the smooth edge here and not hitting the edge with a little notch in it. So how about if we come here and I will bring my thread up from the bottom and we'll do a little tie off. And then I can show you guys how to use this line grid ruler. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line it up here. And I'm using, so we have all these etched lines on this ruler, which makes it really easy to line it up against some of your piecing to keep things straight. So if you're a good piecer, or even if you're not, it's okay, because you can line it up with your piecing that you've done and we can make things work. Okay, I'm going to take my cruise speed down.
So Kim, you did something interesting just a second ago. You did a tie off.
I did a tie off. Yeah, I did. Isn't that a cool feature?
That is such a cool feature. So is it our Amaras and up, or do we have the tie off function in our Moxie?
The tie-offs are on the Amara family and the Infinity family. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I had to stop and think about that one.
No, you're
yes, yes. It is. It is.
Mhm.
Now, that doesn't mean that on the Moxie, there isn't the ability to tie off. What you can actually do is hold down the needle up, needle down button, and it does what we call like a walking stitch. It means just very slowly cycles. You can hold that down for maybe 6 revolutions or so, and it creates a little tack. So
don't you just love all the tips and tricks Kim is full of?
We've got ways. We got you covered. We got you covered. So what I'm going to do for this one then is I'm just going to move up and over, and then I'm going to scoot the ruler up and go up along that edge, and then go back and come down here. When I get to the edge here, I shift the ruler up again, make sure that it's snug up against that corner, travel up, and then travel back. And I'm going to get nice, even spacing. And this is where you guys can see with the slow cruise, I'm actually kind of breaking my rule a little bit. I am moving the ruler, but I'm not moving the machine at the same time. So I guess I'm not breaking my rule technically, but you guys can see that I'm shifting it. And when I shift it, because I'm in such a slow cruise, the machine really only cycles once, which basically tacks that little stitch down. So we'll just do this up the side. Hopefully this kind of demystifies how to use these rulers. I know that we've got, I think we just have this one size now. There was a time when we had a few different sizes of this out here, but you can always do a little bit of a smaller piano key here like this, depending on the spacing that you choose to use. And you could always use, okay, so we're going to travel up there just a little bit. You could always use the grid lines on there to come up with your own spacing. Okay, there we go. Now, just a little tip. If you are in like this and you stopped with your needle down and you want to take this off, you guys can see that I cannot get that off. You have to lift your needle up, and then I can go ahead and pull that ruler off. So just remember that. Got to have the needle up, and then it just slides right on there. Isn't that cool?
That is so cool.
So we have some fun little lines there. So we're working on the background here. What if we just keep going on the background here? So what should we do up here at the top?
You want to do some clouds since we were going to do some pebbling?
Sure. We'll do some clouds, but you know what? Oh, let's switch to that micro foot so everybody can see a little bit more what I'm doing here.
I pulled it out already.
So let's take a look at the micro foot. The micro foot is like the coolest foot ever. This is one of those that was really fun. So when I'm going to put this in my hand here so that everybody can see this. The question always is, where is the rest of the foot? Because there's just this little, it looks like a little parenthesis shape. Hopefully you guys can see that. There's just that little spot right there that reaches down and puts pressure on the fabric as the stitch is being formed. And this is really important for the stitch formation. I actually had a whole lecture from our engineers, which are in-house, that engineer everything that we have, on how this foot worked. But I remember when they first brought it up to me. This is one of the fun things I get to do with product testing. It was 3D printed, so it was this little black blob, and I was like, where's the rest of the foot? They're like, no, put it on and you'll see. And then we started stitching with it, and within like 3 stitches, I was like, I'm in love. Go downstairs and print me one right now because I have a quilt at home that I need this foot for. Like, I was so in love with it. So let's show you guys how easy it is to switch a foot. So I'm using the handy Quilter hex tool here. This comes with our machine. So the Amara and the Infinities come with these. And what I do is I just pop it right in that little screw, and I just loosen the screw. Now this is really important. You don't have to take the screw all the way out. You don't have to. And then what I'm going to do is lift. So we actually have spring action here. So I just lift that up a little bit, and you guys see that surefoot just popped right out of there. And then I am just going to go ahead and lift, and I'm sorry I have to put my finger in there so you guys can see, but I just slid that right underneath there. And then I'm just going to take my finger and put a little bit of pressure to hold it up in place. And then I am going to go ahead and tighten this up. Now, I always tell people when you're putting this on, if it's a metal foot, go ahead and tighten it. Dude, dude, tighten this, baby. Dude, tighten it. If you're putting on one of our plastic feet, I like to do a lady tighten. You actually, the way that screws in there, you don't have to have a ton of pressure to hold things in place. But we want to make sure we don't crack anything. Okay, we've got a question.
There's a product on the website, the HP Pinpoint laser accessory. Can people put that on a Moxie to have this laser?
Yes. Okay, so the question is, what is the correct product to use to add the pinpoint, the laser to the needle here? And it's called the pinpoint laser. My guess is Brianne will probably pop that into the comments. She's doing that right now. So you guys can check that out. It's pretty cool. You just attach it. Have you ever installed one?
I have not installed one. I have seen it installed at shows, but I have not installed it. My machine has it.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I quilt on it more.
So,
but it's pretty easy to install. You put it here on the front of the machine, and it has instructions in there on how to adjust it so you get it to line up. And it's great. It just plugs in on your Moxie. You have one little USB port here, and you just plug it into the side. That USB port is for power for extra accessories. So that's exactly what it's for.
That's so simple.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It really is. It really is.
So I'm sorry.
Yes. No, go ahead.
Do we know if that's on the built app? I know we have a lot of our accessories and our machines on that built app.
I don't think it is on the built app. And I'm pretty sure we have a video.
Yeah.
You guys, I've made so many videos. I don't even like, I just go through and search. I do like a Google search trying to find some of our videos. But yeah, I know that I'm pretty sure that we have a video, but the written instructions that come with it are really good too. They're well illustrated. All of our, okay, we do have a video. Brianne just found that. So we've got that shows you how to use that and install it. And it really is great, especially, and you guys will see this in a little bit, especially with ProStitcher. For me, it's a game changer.
Absolutely.
Because it just raises that level of accuracy of being able to create areas and do all of those things. But I love this. So just so you guys know, the 2 feet that I use the most on my machine at home, and like you mentioned, I'm definitely a ProStitcher gal too. I love my ProStitcher. I use my glide foot when I'm using my ProStitcher, and then my second most used foot is this micro foot. It really is for going back and doing like micro quilting, or even I've gotten to the point that anytime I do free motion quilting, I use this foot because just the clear view of the needle.
Yeah.
As you guys take a look at this, you can see that there is 100% view of exactly where I'm placing every single stitch. Wow. So if I'm wanting to come right close to the edge of the piecing or hit specific corners, do any of that kind of stuff, it just makes it really, really easy to do. Okay, so I'm going to scoot those over, and I'm going to attempt to quilt some clouds. Thinking here, clouds. Okay, clouds. All right, so I am going to bring this up, and then I will do my tie off. And
love that tie off function.
I know, me too. It's so great. I am from the school of the lazy quilter. I mean, efficient quilter.
I love that. Efficient. Yes.
I am the efficient quilter. I do not want to take the time, like you mentioned, I am not a show quilter. I've entered 1 quilt in a county fair. That's it. I did get a blue ribbon. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
But I am not, I quilt, I make quilts to be used, and I want them to be washable and durable. And I love the tie off function because it knocks those threads off, and I never have problems with my stitches coming in, and I don't have to bury any threads.
Yes.
I know some people find it zen, and I get that. Like, I'm a person who I love to sit and hand stitch binding.
Yeah.
Number one, I can watch Netflix for hours on end and I'm working. I love that zen, but burying threads, not zen for me. Not zen for me. Okay, so let's quilt some clouds here. So I am going to come up and do some, we'll see if these will look kind of like clouds. Hopefully. I don't know. Does that look like a cloud? Sure. Okay, that probably looks more like a cloud. And I tried to do a thread that is like slightly like a soft orange, so that you guys would be able to maybe see it a little bit more against the white here. We'll do a little thunder head there.
Well, Kim, that's the luxury of quilting, right? It is your piece of art.
I love that. Thank you for giving me permission to quilt. Whatever it is, I'm quilting here. Okay, we'll do a couple more clouds here. Maybe we'll just do like some wavy lines getting down to this point. What do you think? Is that good?
Let's do it.
Let's do some wavy lines. And then we were thinking of doing some pebbles down here at the bottom, right? Okay. So we want to try to keep our density maybe about the same. Okay. So we're going to switch over now, and we're going to do some real micro quilting here. So I am going to adjust my other handlebar down. And I'm actually going to have this handlebar down in the position so you guys can see. Because if I put this one down, you won't be able to see the needle, but you're going to see normally when I am micro quilting, I have got both of my hands right down here close to the needle. Gives me that control,
That
right?
element and control.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I also love, so we are quilting on the Studio 3 frame, and it has the ability to be in either standard or clear view. We have this in standard view right now. And the thing I love about this is because this top pulls up here, this is the one that normally your quilt top is attached to, but since we have mini quilts, we don't have more than just what's basted there. But what it does is it gives me a place to rest my hands. So I am able to just relax and enjoy the process. Now, let's take a look at the screen here. I'm going to show you guys on the Amara console. We mentioned manual, right? Yep. And some people are like, why in the world would you use manual? I paid all this money for stitch regulation. Well, I'm going to show you guys. So I switched it over to manual, and you guys see that underneath manual, I've got that speed of 800. So that's what the motor speed is going to be. And over here to the side, I've got these different numbers, which I can tap 700, 1300, 1800. Those are presets. And the cool thing is here, I can actually go in here and say that I decide that actually 800 is where I want my preset to live. I can tap the button here and I can change it so that that one will do it. And my screen,
cold fingers.
Yeah, exactly. You guys don't know this, but it's freezing in here because the lights are really hot, aren't they? When we're doing this?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to start at 800, and what I want you guys to do is really listen to the machine. For me, micro quilting in manual is almost it's like meditating a little bit because there's just this beautiful hum of the machine. It doesn't go up and down. It's actually going to stay at the same speed all the time. You guys hear that? And when I'm stitching something this small, I'm not worried about stitch length. So I'm going to stitch pebbles, and Belsie is going to let me meditate for a minute here. And she's going to talk about something, one of her favorite things. What's one of your favorite types of quilting to do? Because I love micro quilting like this.
Oh, that's a great question, Kim. I mean, the whole fact, I guess maybe not the right word, right? But
sorry, I'm gonna get
the
this
whole
little
journey
fuzzy out of the way.
Absolutely. The whole journey of quilting, you know, if I think back to where I started from, I mean, really ground zero, I knew zero. And I took the machine in my hands, and, you know, I actually had the luxury to do some training with Kim years ago, and she really awoke my love for handy quilter and for quilting, and that's where I realized I can do this. And so I've dabbled in a few different types of quilting. Like I said, I'm definitely partial to ruler work just because I love my ProStitcher. So being able to use ProStitcher and use the precise marking of my area is what I love, right? So as you had mentioned, you know, our seams aren't always perfect. Yeah. And I am definitely guilty of that. Every once in a while, I might have a little bit more of a scant than I should on my corner. And so being able to take that laser light in my ProStitcher program and pinpoint it exactly where it is that I need it to be and set my area. And so I actually have the luxury of doing multiple points. I'm not just doing one point to another, right? So I can get really, really precise and like nitpicky. And I am one of those individuals that tend to be very detail oriented and tend to be very much, you know, this is my exact point. And I walk down the path, and being able to configure a design into that is what I love. I don't know if it's the math of it, geography, and funny enough, math was definitely not my strong point.
Oh, me either. Me either.
It just itches that part in my brain of being able to see I did that, and I was able to fit it in that exact area. I think I would love to get a lot more into free motion and doing pebbling like you are. That I love the sound of the machine and the
Isn't it cool?
Yes, the relaxation that comes from it. you know, I don't come from a family of sewers or quilters. Actually, I am the only one in my family.
Really?
Immediate family.
Yeah.
In-laws, completely different story.
Cool.
They're actually all involved in the quilting and sewing community, but in my immediate family, none of them are. It's just not their thing. And so
Yeah.
when I would come home after working at a quilt shop all day and sewing, right? My mom would be like, "Why are you still doing that?" I'm like, "Because I love it. It relaxes me." And
Yep.
so being able to take what I love and, you know, introduce it to other individuals and share that passion of mine, and the fact that it relaxes other people as well is just so satisfying. I think that's really perfect timing, right?
Yeah, you did this. Like you choreographed that or something. Woohoo! Yeah, that's I love that. You know, a lot of the things you just talked about there, that's the same things that I love about quilting. And you know, people tend to think that I go to work and quilt all day, that this is what I do. I wish.
Yeah.
I tend to sit at a computer and answer emails and do virtual calls. But taking some time, I actually have to schedule it on my calendar. I don't know about you. I literally will block out blocks of time during the week, and people will be like, can I do a meeting? I'm like, no, that's my creative time. Sacred time.
I love
that. Cannot go in on it. I have to have some quilting time every week. And then I'm able to work on fun things like this.
Yeah.
So if we look at what I did here with the pebbling, and I could move the machine back over here a little bit so that it maybe kind of casts the shadow across it so you guys can see that detail a little bit. So the first thing I want to point out here with my pebbles, are they all perfectly round?
They are not, but like pebbles.
Yes.
I mean,
well, pebbles are pebbles. And then I always ask people that, and people are like, I don't want to tell you that your circles aren't perfectly round. You guys, they're pebbles. Are pebbles in nature round?
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. Even something that's like a river rock, it's been smoothed out on the edges, but it is not perfectly round. So I always think of pebbles when I'm quilting pebbles. It's very organic, and I want it to have that feel. I like to do lots of different shapes, lots of different sizes, and just make it fun. And one of the things about this too is traveling in between. So you'll also notice that not every single pebble butts up exactly against another pebble. Like leaving a little bit of space is just fine. It's totally okay. Just have fun with it though. These are almost, I feel like this actually is appropriate for like a little road that this
I agree.
bus is driving down, right?
I love the texture it adds to it.
Yeah. It makes it kind of fun. I think it's fun to quilt things like that. So, okay, we've got a couple of things left to quilt on this. So we need to quilt in the little star, and I think we need to quilt in the little tires. What do you think?
So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, do you have any ideas for what you think I should do?
I do actually.
Okay.
So I would love, I know you had mentioned doing some straight stitch quilting right in the star just to kind of accentuate it. I think we should definitely do that. And in the tires, I'd love to actually see them look like a tire with the detail on the inside.
Yep. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to see if one of the lovely assistants in the room, do we have one of the Swiss cheese rulers? Or one of the multi-circle rulers? They're going to go look in the drawer for me. I should have thought of this earlier because I can show you guys a really easy way to do perfect circles. If we don't have one of those, the multi-circle ruler, what I'm going to do is we might actually come back and do these circles with the ProStitcher.
Oh, yes. And then we can show the multi-point as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But in the meantime, I'm going to take a second and I'm going to swap back to my Surefoot. So Belsie's going to grab that Surefoot for me. And I am going to do some straight lines with this star, like you mentioned. Yeah, because we had decided we wanted to do that. So we will, and I'm going to use a different ruler this time. So I like to use show you guys kind of our range of rulers here. So this is another go-to ruler that I use all the time. It's called the Baby Grand. This one is designed by Christina, my sidekick Christina. I love Christina, and I'm so excited that she's out doing lots of great new exciting things. Christina has moved over to our field educator team, so you never know, she might actually even be showing up at a local event.
Oh, we would love to have her. Absolutely. Yep.
She loves teaching, and she is very excited to be out there doing that. So this ruler is really great, though, because it just fits right in your hand. And for something that's small like this, where I want to do maybe some straight lines, you guys can see that the straight side of this here is the right size for this small,
look at that.
small little star. So, okay, first of all, I'm going to switch back to regulated. I'm in cruise. I've got my speed at 25. I've got 11 stitches per minute. Oh, and Brianne just saved the day. Thank you, Brianne. Brianne ran and grabbed the multi-circle ruler here. So we'll be able to put, look at that, we'll be able to put some circles in here. Thank you so much. This is fantastic. Okay, let's go ahead and do our star here first. I'm gonna go ahead and do this.
Kim, and I don't, not to keep you, not to take you off track too much, but I'm looking at the screen that's right in front of us, right? And we were talking about manual and regulated and your toggle screen really right there. To the very far right, there is this wheel that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
What is that?
So this right here is the on-screen hand wheel. And it actually allows me, since if I peek around here and I try to reach back to the back of the machine. Now, you guys, I'm a tall person. And I cannot reach the hand wheel on the back of this machine. Contrary to popular belief, not all long arm quilters have long arms. So what this does, the on-screen hand wheel, it allows me the ability to turn that hand wheel on the back of the machine from the front of the machine. So it's a really cool feature that's available on the Amara family and on the Infinity family. Wow. Yeah, it's super handy.
They thought about everything, right?
We definitely, you guys. So I'm just gonna scoot over here and snuggle up closer to you. So you know, actually, I'll go like this. How's that? We'll be on both sides because I've got my needle down here. I don't want to move this machine. So the tagline for Handy Quilter is by quilters for quilters, and it really is true. Yeah, it really is true. Like I mentioned, I'm part of the product development team. I help me and other quilters that work at this company, the engineers listen to us and they give us what we want. Absolutely. We tell them and they deliver. So we try to come up with good stuff for you guys. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is let's just do a little bit of a stitch in the ditch around this star, and then we'll go back and do some straight line quilting. And this is the baby grand ruler. Yep. Brianne, I'm guessing Brianne is going to pop up some information about the baby grand. This is a fantastic ruler. It is one that I use all the time. And I'm going to stop for a second and clip these threads. Sorry, you guys, I'm just never good about clipping my threads while I'm in the middle of something. I don't have time to stop. I just want to keep quilting.
So you were mentioning that this ruler is great because of the size, right? So for anything that is kind of small, like the star, it allows you, it will fit actually perfectly right with what you're working with.
Yep. And this is like the Versatool that you mentioned at the top of the hour. You can see that I've got straight edges and curved edges on it. Yeah. Which is really nice. I have the ability to do a lot of cool designs just with one ruler. Depending on what I'm working on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of almost like a Zentangle. So I'm going to go from corner to corner. Let's see. If I go from corner to corner, you know what? I don't know exactly. You know what we're going to do? Here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to do an echo stitch. So I am going to come in 1/4 of an inch, and then I am going to line up the edge of my ruler 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the piecing. And then we're going to stitch a little star that's like an echo inside of this. Okay. So let's go through and do that. So I'm going to come down to here, and then I'm going to turn my ruler and go up. And I know where to stop when I hit this other side because it's lining up on the edge of my piecing there. Okay. And then we're going to come down just a little bit. And we're going to go over, and part of this is, as quilters, we develop that eye for knowing where that 1/4 of an inch is, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
Any quilter can like totally eyeball that 1/4 of an inch. And for those new beginners out there, trust me, it comes.
It does. Absolutely.
It's one of those secret superpowers that you develop that you don't know you're going to develop, but you become really great at being able to say, yep, that's 1/4 of an inch. This is definitely kind of a fun little emphasis to our star here in the center. And I have my little piece that I came in and out on, and we'll do a little tie off, and then we'll go ahead and cut my thread. And now we've got a nice little
Oh, look how cute.
star inside of there, little echo star. Didn't quite hit that point as much as, but that's okay. I am okay with that. I am absolutely okay with that. All right. And you wanted to put some circles in the center of the tires here. So let's take a look at this ruler here. You can see that the multi-circles ruler, it has a 3/4 inch diameter ruler, a 3/4 diameter circle, a 1 inch diameter circle, and a 1.5 inch diameter circle. And remember, the circle that it's going to stitch is actually 1/4 inch away from the edge of this outside. So it's 1/4 of an inch smaller. So if we lay these down and look at these, I think we want the middle-sized one. What do you think? I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am going to go ahead and once again, you just slide this one. This has that little tab that you just slide right through there. I am going to just kind of using my markings here. Actually, this is really nice. I'm able to line up etched lines there along the top and along the bottom. And I'm going to bring up my bobbin thread because I don't want to have a little thread nest on the back. And then what I'm going to do is actually turn the ruler so that I am starting where that notch is, so I don't end up with a little bit of a wobble. It also just is a good indicator of where we're stopping and starting. So I'm going to go ahead and just slow and easy go around this wheel. And you guys, you know what? I'm actually going to go around it twice just to kind of emphasize it a little more. How's that? Okay. And I'm going to pull that off. Go ahead and cut our thread. Definitely looks more like a tire now. having that little extra circle in there, doesn't it?
That is so cute, Kim. Yes, absolutely.
I think we did that. Well, that was a really good idea that you had there. Okay. And we'll do this once more. Grab my thread. I'm going to line that up at the top. And you guys, this is the art of eyeballing it. I could absolutely measure this out and mark it ahead of time. And if you are that quilter, do it. If you like to do that, and let's do the little tie off, go for it. I am very much from the school of, as I told you guys earlier, the efficient, lazy.
I would say efficient
Efficient quilter. I'm also of the, for me, okay is good enough. It does not need to be, like show worthy perfect.
Yes, we have a question.
Is the outside of the needle 1/4 of an inch?
Yes. So the question is the outside, so if we look here at the foot, the outside edge of this foot is 1/4 inch away from where the needle actually creates the stitch. So yes, we have that nice little math going on there already for you. So we've got the 2 tires done there now with the little circles in the center. I think we're done with that one. What do you think?
I like it. I
Me
think it
too.
looks good. That is so cute, Kim.
That's kind of fun.
Such a cute design.
Oh, it was kind of fun, wasn't it? Okay, well, we're going to take a second here and we're going to do a quick little, kind of a little bit of a reset. We're going to move over here we're going to set some stuff out of the way. We're going to put away the rulers. I am also going to pull off the ruler base. So you guys can see how easy it is to remove the ruler base here. I'm going to actually undo that one there. So I just take and pull it forward and it pops right off. You guys can see here on the side of the machine, it has these little knobs. They just slide right into these little slots. That's how easy it is to put the ruler base on, and that's how easy it is to pull it off. And here's a little tip. I'm not 100% sure you guys are going to be able to see this, but I store my ruler base on my batting pole down here at the bottom. So what I do is I just put it right down there. I don't know, Lily, are you able to get a shot of that? Okay, so you guys can see I have my batting pole right here. I just hang my ruler base right there on my batting pole, even when there's batting on it, because the batting doesn't take up the entire pole. And my ruler base is right there. It's handy all the time.
You know, Kim, I was thinking you could also store it in your secret drawer.
You absolutely could. You absolutely could. Unfortunately, on my machine, I can't. Well, I could have secret drawers, but in my current quilting space, my machine is all the way back. And when I move my machine clear back like this, I have a 1/4 inch clearance between the back of my machine and the wall. It's a little squeezy. And I do have 2 rolls of batting. So I can't have secret drawers that open this way. They have to open to the back. But because my frame is so close to the wall, I don't have room to open them from the back. But
if you do have the space, it's a fantastic addition.
It really is. It really is. And I actually am super excited. I am getting a new quilting studio, and I think I'm actually going to have space for
that's so exciting.
Drawers. I'm actually considering my machine is going to be back against a wall. On the one side, I think I'm actually going to turn my machine around so that the back of the machine faces out into the room, and I come and sit behind it.
Nice.
And that way I will have room to utilize all the underneath space there to store things and have secret drawers.
Kim, that is so exciting.
I'm super excited too. So, okay, what we want to do is we're going to move over here to our block number 2. And we're going to switch over, and I'm actually going to ask Belsie to go ahead and do this. Let me do this really quick. We're going to switch over and show you guys some ProStitcher stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is engage my gears, and then the machine won't scooch around a little bit. So our machine here in the filming studio is on casters because we move it around all the time.
I love the
and
casters.
so when you do that, when you move your machine around a lot, it's a little bit harder to keep it perfectly level because every time you move it, you have to re-level it. So, and we also have quilters of all different heights that come in and Quilter. As you guys can see, standing, Belsie and I stood up.
We are
different heights.
Very different heights.
We've actually been sitting. So this is one of those things that I always like to talk to, especially new quilters about, is like demystify. A lot of people call this stand-up long arm quilting. They think that you have to stand at this frame. Well, let me tell you guys, I have a stool here and I like to sit on it and use it. I don't know about you, Belsie, but in my quilting studio, I actually have a tall drafting chair that I sit on pretty much all the time. I don't stand while I quilt.
Yeah, absolutely. After a while, standing can definitely get pretty taxing. I remember when I first started quilting, I would stand at my machine. And I mean, I would lose track of time, as I naturally always do. And I'd be like, why am I so tired? So
4 hours later.
So having that stool right next to my machine is really nice and very convenient. So once I start feeling, the strain on my back and my feet, really it's time to sit. So definitely, I can see why you sit down to quilt for sure.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more comfortable for me. Also, one of the things I like about sitting is I can actually adjust the height that I'm working at throughout the day. I actually have a chair here that I will show you guys. I can put it pretty low or I can move it up higher. So I will set timers for myself throughout the day to actually make small adjustments. And then that way, if I am like, say, doing a bunch of micro quilting throughout the day, I'm working on a quilt for maybe 4 or 5 hours at a time. I will make those little adjustments. And then at the end of the day, my shoulders and back aren't sore because I was not in basically the same position all day. So it's a good idea too, if you're going to be doing a lot of quilting, intense quilting, especially like micro quilting, to set those timers to remind yourself, because all of a sudden it is an hour later, you're starting to go cross-eyed. Stop, get up, walk around, have a drink of water, do some things to keep yourself fresh. So it's important to take care of your body while you're doing your quilting. Okay, so we're going to switch gears here a little bit. Gears. ProStitcher has gears. We're going to switch gears here a little bit, and we're going to focus on quilting with a computerized system. Now, one of the things I want to have a little, how do you feel about this issue?
Okay.
Do you think quilting with a ProStitcher is cheating?
No, absolutely not. I definitely don't think that quilting with the ProStitcher is cheating. If anything, I feel like it's making my quilting a lot more proficient and yeah, definitely a lot more fun for me.
Yeah.
So I do get that actually at every show I go to.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
hear it at least once at the bare minimum, but
Yep.
it feels sometimes like 4 or 5 times,
Mhm.
right? And it's like, no, it makes your quilting, it elevates your quilting, in my opinion. So
I totally agree with you. I also remind people that learning how to use the ProStitcher is another skill set.
absolutely.
Just like learning how to quilt with rulers is a skill set.
Mhm.
Learning how to quilt with any kind of free motion. Learning how to quilt from the back with a pantograph.
Oh yeah.
Those are different skill sets that you can learn with this. ProStitcher is easy to use, though. This is another thing. I don't want to scare you by telling you it's a different skill set. It's actually an easy skill set, especially so. One of the educators that I work with, Sandy Rindlisbach, said this, and I thought this was brilliant. She's like, if you can use your phone, if you can use a smartphone, you can use the ProStitcher.
Mhm.
It's the same like. Order of operations, I guess you could say, the same order that you do things. For example, to open an app and then go through and find the pictures of your grandkids that you want to show everybody, or the pictures of your quilts, or your dog, or your
Mhm.
flowers, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing to go through and find a design. So don't let computerized quilting intimidate you. Don't let people tell you that it's cheating. It's not. It's a different type of quilting.
Mhm.
Just like hand quilting versus quilting with a machine, they're different skill sets.
Absolutely. I was going to add to that, as far as ProStitcher goes and how easy it is to use. Yes, it is a different skill set, and it is something you will have to learn. But when I started learning automated quilting, it's very straightforward. I mean, you're looking at the icons, and that's what it's going to be, which I absolutely love. That there is no trick question, right? If I want to quilt, if I want to add a design, that's exactly what it's going to be, which I love it.
That's exactly right. And I want to show you guys. So we actually have a couple of helps built right into the screen. So we're going to take a look at the screen of the ProStitcher display right now. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of my favorite features for when you're learning how to use ProStitcher. The first one is I'm connected to the internet here. So I can go to the Learn tab and it's going to load here. And hopefully the tech people, oh good, they're working with us today. But I can come right here and I can go to the ProStitcher educational videos and go to the library, and I can scroll down here and you guys look at this. There's a video right here called Get to Know ProStitcher. I can click on this and I can go right in here and watch this video right on my screen. And I'm hoping I picked one that's not going to be a big old picture of my face. Oh, good. It's not. So so it's got all of the information here. And one of the cool things is when you come down here, it's got information about it. And I can go to the next tutorial and then I can scroll down and I've got 5 things to learn about ProStitcher. And it's just great. I have all of this information here. I just go to the Learn tab and I have different things that I can learn about here. So just know that that's right there. Then the other thing that I want to show you, this is one of the coolest features I absolutely love about ProStitcher, is we have this little button here. Now, you guys, I'm going to tell you guys this is a cheat button. So this is the help button. It's the on-screen help button. So when I turn on this little button right here, the little blue question mark, it says touch anywhere on the screen to get detailed help for that area or button. So I'm going to tap move. And look, right there, it tells me exactly what move does, and it tells me how to use it right there on the screen.
I love that.
Cool? So just know that we've got you covered when it comes to ways to help you learn how to use ProStitcher. So it's fun to use. Another thing that you can do with ProStitcher to learn it. So this is my third tip. So watch the videos, use the on-screen help, and then my third tip is you can download the ProStitcher software onto any Windows-based computer. and use it in simulation. And to be perfectly honest, this is really how I learned how to use ProStitcher. I downloaded it, I had it on my laptop, I'd sit down in my lazy boy and I would design quilts. And I just played around with all the tools. And when you're doing that, it takes away the fear because you're not sitting at a quilt going, how do I quilt this, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You're just playing around on the screen. You familiarize yourself with the tools. You can actually work through the lessons that way that are on ProStitcher.com, and it just makes it really easy and fun to learn how to use, so that when you're ready to sit down and actually start quilting, life is easy.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, how
Yes.
about if we start off with our cool second school bus here? So I had fun. I did the first school bus, has the little kids on it. It's kind of a little bit more classic. This one, I just had some fun. I do know one of these fabrics is like a classic cotton and steel that I had in here, but I just had fun kind of putting some fun colors together for this one. So Belsie, let's pick a spot and let's put a pattern in it.
Let's do it. So actually this time, I know we finished with the wheels. I think I want to start with the wheels this time around, right? So we can highlight those corners that we were working on.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. And we're going to move the machine here and we're going to select the area tab up here, open that up. So ProStitcher is always tab, ribbon, sidebar. And this part of the screen right there is the ribbon. And depending on which tab I have selected, the ribbon changes. We do a tab, we choose something from the ribbon, and then we come over here to the sidebar. So you guys can watch here. We are going to use the multi-point, and this is where that needle to the laser just comes in so handy. And I am going to drop points right in the little corners here. And I'm going to go ahead and hit this here so you guys can see. I'll hit refresh a few times so that you all can see the shape that we're making. We're making that nice little, is this an octagon? Yes. I'm like, somebody help me out here. So nice little octagon there. Okay, we've got the little octagon on the screen. What's the next thing we need to do then, Belsie?
So I would say, just looking at my screen and we were talking about how straightforward it is, I would assume my designs are probably in some sort of file, right? So we're going to go ahead and go to file. And then there you go on that ribbon, it says design. So I'm going to go ahead and select design.
Right there.
And I'm going to go ahead and hit open.
I love that. And then it opens our design files. And the cool thing is here, we've got, so right now we're in the continuous line file. I think we should open blocks.
I agree.
Because we're going to be doing this nice little octagon and we've got some fun designs there. So Belsie, why don't you pick a design? I actually see one that I think would be really cool.
I'm looking at it.
Is it this one right here? The
yes,
you go. I'm going, that will be perfect for that wheel. But we just opened that up and wow, that is not even remotely fitting in that space. What are we going to do?
Well, I would say we have to modify our design, right? So again, back on our tabs, I'm going to go ahead and hit modify. And it takes me to an area where on my ribbon, I can see all the different ways I can modify my design, which this is just how I like to do it personally. I'm a very visual person, so I like to physically see it. Yes, we have a question.
Are you pressing a button on the handlebar? I thought you had to push two corner on the screen.
So the question was asking about setting up an area if you have to use a two corner on the screen.
Let's go back.
So Belsie just popped back over to the area tab. So really quickly, we used two corner, which is right here. I'm going to hit it without actually hitting it. But putting that little circle around it there so you guys can see. If you guys look above that, it actually has, so two corner is not the one we use. We use multi-point right there. So multi-point has that little diamond above it. And that diamond is found where on the machine, Belsie?
It is definitely found on our handlebars.
Exactly.
Yes. I was gonna say, which is great because as you are guiding your machine, right, using that laser light and you're guiding your machine, what I like about it is that I can actually keep my eyes and my hands on my quilt. I'm not physically having to look at my screen until I've set my area. So it really allows me to be precise in the area that I'm creating. If I was doing something with 2 corners per se, let's say like my little window here, I could use my 2 corner, but if I wanted to be exactly precise, I had mentioned earlier, sometimes my seams are a little bit more scant than they should be. And so that's where I personally would choose to use the multi-point versus the 2 corner.
Exactly. Well, and you all can see here on the screen, my little octagon is not like stop sign octagon perfect, but we use that multi-point feature. So we were able to make that area exactly what's on the quilt, which means we're going to get a high level of accuracy when we quilt out this design. So that was a really great question. Okay, so let's go back to modify and let's talk about the different tools here and what they do and picking which tool to use here. So the tools across the ribbon here. So the first one is rotate, which I don't think we need to rotate this design. We don't need to rotate it. Reposition. I mean, we don't need to reposition it yet. Reposition has to do with moving the design so it's in the correct position. I think the thing we need to do first is the next one, which is resize.
I agree.
Yeah. So let's choose resize. And if we look up here at the top of the screen, it tells me that my width and height of my design, it's 6 inches by 6 inches. Now, if I want to know what the size of my area is, I can pop back over to that area tab. And then over here in the sidebar, it tells me that the width of my area is 2.22 and the height is 2.17. Well, I'm just going to hit enter there so that that stays in. I can actually go back to modify and resize, and I can resize this so it's about that right size. So that 2.22, 2.17, I'm going to turn on my lock over here in my sidebar. And the reason why I do this is basically a round or a pretty even design. And I want to hold that aspect so that as it gets smaller, it holds that like round shape, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to come here down here in this little box and I'm going to type in 2.1 and hit enter. And it is going to resize that. So it's just a little bit, we know now that it's just a little bit smaller than what we've got going there. Why don't we look at align? So align has to do with the area. Align is only available when you have an area. And if we hit center here, it is going to center that design inside that area. Isn't that cool? Now let's take a look at this. Is that going to stitch all inside that area?
Well, Kim, I'm looking at it and I don't think so. We have a couple of corners that are sticking out of my area that I've created.
We do. So we've got a couple of options here. One, we can try what we call the magic button, which is skew. I don't know if this is going to work though, but let's try it. Let's go to skew. Oh my gosh, it did. So skew takes rotate, reposition, and resize and does them all in one. And it popped it in and wow. It's like we planned that or something. That was perfect. But what it did is it popped that design in so that it fits in there perfectly. I'm actually pretty happy with that.
I'm very happy with it. I think we should go ahead and stitch it out.
I totally agree with you on that one. Okay. So the crosshairs that are moving around on the screen here, that represents where my needle is. Now, I do not have to line up perfectly with that start and stop point, which is they're right on top of each other. Just so you know, it could be just kind of in the ballpark. We're going to go to the ProStitcher tab because we want to stitch out this design. So we find the tab that has stitch in it. And then on the ribbon, we want to quilt. So we're going to choose the quilt. And I'm going to turn my pull-ups off.
Okay.
It's my preference.
Absolutely.
And we're just going to roll with that. And then we're going to hit run. And when we hit run, we have our verify settings box that pops up. And anything that's in green is turned on. Anything that's in red is turned off. So I can verify here that my pull-ups right there are off. That's actually part of the reason why I did that.
Oh, I see.
They're off. Yeah. Do you see that?
Yeah.
But there's a big flashing sign at the bottom. And what is it telling me?
It says make sure needle is up.
That's right. What happens if my needle isn't up?
It's not great.
No,
it is definitely not great. You are going to potentially get a big tear in your quilt. And if you've spent that much time working on it, it's going to be painful. I can't tell you how many times this has saved my life to have that verify setting. And especially that it is flashing red at me. So I love it. it's a great reminder. And not only that, I like to see my stitches per inch. I have made the mistake of not verifying my stitches per inch, and my stitches were very large, and that was not great either. So yeah, you know, and they're simple mistakes to make, but we think about everything, right? And the fact that it's there for us to be able to look through and verify it is fantastic.
Exactly. It's nice. It's just that little final check. So we're going to go ahead and hit proceed, and the machine is going to move, and it just took one stitch, and then it's going to allow me to scooch the machine out of the way, and I can grab my bobbin thread there. And then I'm going to hit resume, holding on to my top thread and my bobbin thread, and the machine is going to go ahead and stitch this design for me. And I'm going to be brave here and play thread chicken.
Ooh.
And I won that time.
Dangerous snipper.
Yeah, I am. I like to live dangerously.
Live on the edge.
Yeah, totally. But this is, look at that precision of how that's stitching, because of the tools we were able to use to modify that design. Isn't that great? This is so cute. I love with the little star in the center. Isn't that fun?
So cute.
All right, and as soon as that's done, I'm just going to pull my thread out, and then I pull it to the side, do a needle down, needle up, and then move the machine away at least 3 or 4 inches so that I leave a nice long bobbin tail. And I'm just going to clip that because it did tie offs at the beginning and end. I don't have to worry about burying my threads. And then let's go ahead and move over here and do this other tire. So I'm going to show you guys a little, I guess you could call it like a pro tip. So this is how I do it when I am quilting multiples of the same block design. So you guys will notice, those of you who are ProStitcher users may have noticed that I did not baseline before I stitched, which I know kind of breaks some rules, but I did that for a reason, because I'm going to come up here to the area tab. I am going to hit clear. I just cleared my area. And then I'm in the area tab. I am at my next little wheel, and I am going to go ahead and set up an area. Now you guys watch on the screen here to what happens to my design, because I did not clear. Do you guys see how that design has already popped over, and it is populating this area as I built it? And look at that. It popped right in there. Isn't that cool?
Oh, I love it.
That's another efficient quilter tip.
Yes.
And it's as simple as that. I'm ready to go back to ProStitcher, quilt, run, check, make sure everything's good there. My needle's up, hit proceed, and it is going to go ahead and stitch. Now, because my thread is through this time, I'm going to show you guys the amazing swoop. So when I have the, just take that first stitch, I grab both sides of my top thread here, and I just swoop it right underneath and bring it over here to the side, and it actually pulls my bobbin thread up for me so that I can hold on to it. Then I'm going to hit proceed, and it is going to go ahead and stitch for me.
No, I love that you call it a swoop. I've been calling it flossing.
Oh, that's great. You know what? It's a lot of, there's no technical term for that. A lot of people call it a lot of different things. I don't know, in the education studio, we just always call it the swoop. The swoop.
I go, you're going to floss your thread.
I love that. I love that. They both work. They both work and are very appropriate for what we've got here. Okay, so we got to be thinking of what's the next area here we want to quilt. Should we quilt all of our detail here? So we'll go ahead and bring the bobbin thread up again. And we'll do that.
Yeah,
put
I'm
that
thinking
out there.
we definitely move onto.
Should we do the star here?
Okay. The star.
So we're not going to use the same design again. So we're going to go to File tab and Clear All, because I want to clear my screen and have that be clear. And we are going to go ahead and go back to area, and we'll set up an area again. So once again, I'm going to use that multi-point, and I am using the button on the handlebar. And I'm just doing the outline of the star. We'll have to see what we can find to quilt in here.
I'm sure whatever it is that we find is going to be fabulous.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. And let's hit there we go. I've got to see where I am in the process here, so I make sure I don't. Now, one thing you'll notice, I just dropped the last point there, and you guys can see my first point and my last point on my area there. you don't have to go back and like close the area. The minute you add a third point to an area, or you do the 2-corner, it is a closed area. As a matter of fact, if you are cropping or doing any of those kind of things and you put 2 area points right on top of each other, sometimes the software reads that a little differently, and so you might end up with some issues. So make sure that that last point, you've got some space between your first point and your last point. Just another little tip there. Okay, let's go to File, Design, and Open, and let's go find a design that we can put in here. And I think we should use the crop feature on this one. What do you think?
I think we should.
So what's a fun, I don't know, like a fun texture that we could put in here? Should we do, this is when there's so many designs in here. It's
This
like, what are we gonna
probably
do?
the hardest part of all of it.
Ooh, what if we do one of the rays?
Let's do it.
Let's do a ray in here. I think that this will be really cool. So let's go through and make some choices here. So once again, you can see that this design is huge compared to the area. It's big. As a matter of fact, if you look up here, it's 12 inches by 12 inches. And our little area here, if we pop over and look at it, it's 2.86 by 2.88.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
It's a big difference. So let's go through. I'll show you guys. So there's lots of different ways to do this. You don't always have to do things in the same order. Let's actually align this first. Let's align it to the center of the area. And then we're going to go to resize, and we're going to resize it. But first, we have a question.
Anything that you've done this far looks differently on ProStitcher Lite? Like, what are the differences?
Okay, so this is a really good question, and one that we get all the time. Is anything we've done here look different than what's on ProStitcher Lite? What we've done so far, the answer is no. Everything's the same. The design folder that we've went into is included in ProStitcher Lite. The features we've been using are included in ProStitcher Lite. Really, ProStitcher Lite is just a lightly simplified version of ProStitcher Premium. It does come with less designs, but for the most part, it's apples for apples.
Pretty much,
yeah,
yep.
not any different. Okay, so we're in resize. I have my lock turned on, and I am just going to start making this design smaller. And what I want to do, we're going to zoom to the area here. I want this to be just a little bit bigger than my area, so that when we crop away this design, we're just left with what's in the middle there. So as I mentioned, we're going to use crop. We're going to come here to crop, and crop is like taking a cookie cutter to the design, right? And you can either keep what's in the middle, or you can just keep what's on the outside. So depending on what you want. So if we're going to choose outside, it's going to get rid of all the stuff on the outside. So we're going to do outside and take a look at that. And that looks pretty cool, but I want to show you guys a little something. We're going to go to view, and I'm going to turn off my area, and you're going to see what's actually going to stitch here. You guys can see those little dashed lines here. Those are long jumps. I'm going to have these long jumps, and I actually want to close those. So let me show you what that's going to look like. If we go back to modify and I tap this edges button, you can see now that it is going to stitch out that little bit extra. Let's go back to view, and I will I'll turn my area back on. And then we are going to go ahead and stitch this out. But the thing to notice here is it is not going to stitch that pink line yet. We're going to stitch the design first, and then I will show you guys how to stitch that area around the outside so we get essentially that stitch in the ditch, okay? Awesome. So let's go to ProStitcher, and you know what? This time I am going to baseline. Baseline, it doesn't save your changes, but it freezes your changes. Is what it does as you continue to build on it. But one of the cool things to remember with ProStitcher, you have this superpower button. It's called undo.
I love it.
You can even undo baseline. So if you guys watch this here, look over here on this side of the screen. Actually, when I did that, it did select none. You guys saw those little words float up there. I learned from just a very wise person who came from retailer training, a 19-year-old young man, taught me that the name of that little thing that floats up over there, it's called a toast. Let's watch the toast when I do undo and see what happens. I undo select none. I undo baseline. Did you guys see that? You can undo baseline.
I will toast to that.
I know, seriously. So just remember that. Nothing is permanent in ProStitcher, what you've done on the screen, and it certainly isn't permanent on your quilt. You can always unpick it. even though you don't want to, you always can. So let's do ProStitcher quilt and let's run and stitch this out. And the machine is going to move over. It knows right where to start. I'm going to do the little swoop and we're going to hit resume and it is going to go ahead and start stitching for us. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to play chicken with this one. You know what? I like living on the edge when I quilt. What can I say? So you guys can see here as this is stitching out, it is not stitching the entire outline of the star. It's stitching those little bits and pieces like we saw. But we're getting that cool ray effect, which is really fun. So
That is really cute.
isn't that fun?
Really cute.
Kind of draw your eye to the center of the star. Little shooting star there. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to show you guys how to stitch out the that pink line around the outside. Now, if you guys look at the screen right now, you'll notice that I've got gold lines and I've got little bits of pink lines here. So if I go to ProStitcher, what it's done is it's traced out my design. It's shown me what it has quilted. If I want to remove that, there's actually a button here on the ribbon. It's called Clear Trace, and I could tap that and it will remove that trace so that I can look at it again and be like, this is the design, this is the area. Makes it easy to see. So I want to just quilt out the area this time. So I've got my ProStitcher tab selected. I've got quilt, and then we're going to come over here to the sidebar, and I'm going to choose Trace Area right there. Now, Trace Area is one of those buttons that when we turn it on and then I hit run, the only thing the ProStitcher is going to stitch is my area. And I always get the question here, how do I know where it's going to start stitching? It's going to start stitching where you dropped your first area point. It doesn't have a start and stop on it. And don't worry, you don't need to know where that point is. The machine knows. It does. It knows all. So it's going to move and to that little corner there. And it is going to stitch the outline of this star now. So I will have that. We'll see how perfectly or okay-ish I set up my area. Actually, it's looking pretty good.
That's really cool, Kim. I mean, it was just a press of a button. We quilted the inside and then we came back to our area in ProStitcher and just told it to trace the area that we created. And that was in a matter of seconds.
Yes, exactly. We just did the equivalent of what we did on this other one, where we did all of that stitch in the ditch. Yeah, you can move that over a little bit more so people can see you. So actually using that area function, creating a precise area, and then using trace area, that's my go-to for doing stitch in the ditch with ProStitcher. So it's as simple as that. It's
Talk
really
about
not hard to do.
efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. You can do it. You just get it all done at once. So, okay, let's pick what we want to quilt next. So what do we want to quilt next here?
I think we should do the windows.
You think we should do the windows? Okay.
You know, we don't have any kiddos in there. So
what should we quilt? I know. We're not quilting over anybody's face here. So what should we quilt in the windows?
Yeah, I really liked the piano keys that you were doing on the side. I think we should do something similar in our windows.
Okay, cool. So let's set up and we'll do some piano keys. Let's do the big window here. So the first thing we're going to do is let's go clear the screen because we don't need those items anymore. And then let's set up an area. So again, I'm going to go to the area tab and using the multi-point, I am going to set up an area here. This one's a little bit easier to set up. It's just got the 4 points. I'll do that zoom to area. So we have that area there big on the screen. And then let's go to File tab and Design, Open, and we'll go grab some piano keys. Now, I know that there are some piano keys in the Continuous Line folder. So we'll choose Continuous Line. And you guys are going to be so impressed with how these piano keys look. Let me tell you something. Boy, that's a really cool design, isn't it? So this is a 4-line gap piano key. What it's got is when we start repeating this, it's actually going to have piano keys and then a little bit of a gap and then piano keys and then a little bit of a bigger gap. So it's not all evenly spaced all the way through. But I think this is actually going to be fun. We're going to have some fun playing around with this. So let's go to Modify and I'm trying to think. Actually, you know what I want to do is let's do a repeat
Repeat.
here. I'm trying to think of different features I can show everybody. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I want these to fit down inside this area. So I'm going to show you guys a cool feature that we've got here. So we've got this stretch feature that we can use. And I have horizontal selected right now. So it stretched it horizontally, which means it just made that design as wide as the design is horizontally. Now let's go to vertical and we'll do stretch again. And this time it's actually going to pop it down into that area. Now we're going to make a correction when we get done with that. You guys can see that it's not perfectly straight to the area, but we'll fix that in a minute. But what I want to do is go back to horizontal, and because we have stretch on, as we add more to it, it's going to squish it all in there. So watch this. This is kind of fun. It's going to do this, and then I'm going to go back and hit stretch, and it's going to squish those designs in there. What do you think?
Cool.
Do you think that's enough? Enough repeats in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So we want this to fit just a little bit better. So this is one of the fun things. You can essentially stack these different modifications on top of each other. So let's go back to modify, and we're going to go to skew, and we're going to try that skew button. And then let's try border skew. Oh, look at that. Look at that, how it just rotated it a little bit and it made those lines fit in there perfectly. Isn't
It's like
that
it
great?
snapped it right to the border.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, we're going to go ahead and baseline this, and then let's stitch this out. So you guys can see how easy that was to put a fun feature like that in there. Hopefully is that what you were thinking of doing? Was
That's
doing
exactly
the
what I was
repeat
thinking.
like that?
Yeah.
I love it. It's kind of fun. And once again, this is where you can take ProStitcher, put it in simulation, and sit down and just play around with these things like this. You don't always have to stitch out what you're creating. And so it makes it really fun to be able to add that little extra pizzazz, just playing around with it, discovering new features and having fun with them.
You know, and if you're new at it too, right, it allows you to build that confidence in it. Yes, we have a question.
I can't find how to design for a quilt top on my laptop. Should I search for like a specific keyword for a tutorial?
Okay, you know what? I can actually show you on the website. If we take a look at the ProStitcher screen here, I can show you guys where to find the information on how to download the software. So if I come here and I tap on software updates, and then we go to ProStitcher Studio and download ProStitcher Studio. You have to sign in to be able to do this. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to software updates. You have to set up an account and on ProStitcher.com. Don't worry. Account doesn't cost anything. Nope. It's just setting up an account on the website. But you set up an account and then you tap on that button right there and it will give you the options to be able to download that. And there are instructions in there on how to download in simulation. So we've got you covered. It's as simple as that. So remember ProStitcher.com and then look for software right there. ProStitcher Studio is the one that you want to download. Yeah. So easy peasy, we got you covered. That's where you go to download the ProStitcher software. Yep. Okay, so should we do that same design in the other 3 windows?
I say let's do it.
Okay. Now, if we want to use the same method that I did for the 2 wheels, I did a step that I shouldn't, where I can clear the area and it will just pop in. So what do I need to do first? It's kind of a little bit of a trick question.
Oh man, Kim, you're really testing to see if I was paying attention. Well, I think we need to undo this function.
You're exactly right. We need to undo that baseline. So you guys remember that if you want to do that efficient quilting, where I showed you where you're doing the same block over and over again, and you do hit baseline along the way, it's fine. Just hit undo, and then you can go back and move on with it. So we're going to go to the area. I'm going to come over here in the sidebar. I'm going to clear my area. And then I'm going to set up my next area again. And let's hit this so you guys can see me setting up the area here. And the design will pop over into this area once we get at least 3 points in it. Voila.
Oh, so
there
cute.
We go. As simple as that. And we'll go back, ProStitcher, run, proceed. And we'll go ahead and stitch this out. And we'll get all of our little windows looking the same here. So isn't that easy?
Super cute.
I hope we're kind of demystifying and helping people see that using ProStitcher really is easy.
It is.
And one of the cool things is just all of the different things you can do with it. I mean, there's just so many fun things that you can do with ProStitcher. So once again, we're just going to repeat what we did there. So we're going to go to, I'll clip my threads here. We went to the area tab. We're going to do clear. And then once again, I am going to set up an area.
So you got me thinking, we were talking about being able to download this on your laptop and just play, or like you said, create quilts. I used to have a coach when I used to run once upon a time in my life. He would tell me, Belsey, practice makes proficient, but never perfect. And so I love that, you know, again, quilting is it's your own art piece, and you get to put your own take on it. And again, back to nobody's perfect, but being able to practice and build those skills on your laptop or your computer, right, really allows you to, once you're on, you know, all hands on deck, ready to quilt your masterpiece, right? You have that proficiency and that confidence in doing it. And I just think it's fantastic that I don't actually have to come and put down a stitch on my my project, and I can actually just do it from the comfort of my couch. So
it's so true. One of the other things that is fun about this is you can actually go in and essentially design a quilt. You can save it as a workspace on a USB, and then you can take it to your ProStitcher and then open up the saved designs that you have there on the screen, and you can have everything essentially ready to go, so that all you have to do is set up areas and place things a little more precisely, and you can start quilting. So yeah, you're exactly right. There's a lot of cool things you can do. All right, we have another question.
Do all the designs come with simulation?
So the question is, what designs come when you have ProStitcher in simulation? So one of the things is, when you download ProStitcher in simulation, there are no designs included. So what you have to do is you go to your ProStitcher tablet and you use a USB and you save the ProStitcher designs folder from your tablet, and then you take it to your computer and you use those designs from that USB stick. If doing that seems a little overwhelming, when you purchase your ProStitcher, you actually get a little USB that has all the designs on it. So you can use that USB too. But just know that if you happen to lose that USB, or if you're like me, it got left in the box that's up in the attic, you can get those designs another way. So that's the way that you get the designs. So really, simulation, while you can use it to try out ProStitcher before you buy it, there are no designs included. You can always search, and there are a few out there floating around on the interwebs. I'm sure that you can find a free design or two, or maybe talk to a friend who owns ProStitcher. I'm sure somebody could, you know, loan you a design or two to be able to play around with. So you can always do that.
If I've learned anything
simulation
about, you know, the quilting community, is that quilters are probably one of the nicest and most giving individuals out there. So absolutely, if you do have a friend that has ProStitcher and you're kind of on the edge of whether or not should I get ProStitcher, I mean, even getting with a buddy and being able to do it and work together, right, would make your experience something that you'll probably remember and say, I have to have this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Another thing you could always do with that buddy, go over to their house and play around on their ProStitcher a little bit. Take a project over, take a charity quilt over and quilt it together. That's a great way to learn. That's a really great way to learn. So I want to show you guys, I can see that our time is getting near here. I've got one last feature that I absolutely love in ProStitcher that I want to show you guys. This feature is called Mark, and the big joke, the big joke is I have a class that I've taught that I called I Love Mark. By the way, my husband's name is Ryan. Had some awkward things there, but let's go ahead and look at the screen here, and I can show you guys Mark. So first I'm going to go to File tab, and we're going to clear all because we're done with that design. Then we're going to go to the ProStitcher tab. And mark is found on the ribbon under the record function. So mark is something that is available in ProStitcher Lite. So this is something you can do in ProStitcher Lite also. Just know that the record free motion function is only available in ProStitcher Premium, but mark is available in both Lite and Premium. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn on the screen this function called follow. And what it's going to do is it's going to keep my crosshairs in the center of the screen the whole time that I am moving stuff around so that you guys can see as I'm creating this. So you guys don't realize that I'm actually moving the machine. You'll start seeing it here in a minute. So what I'm going to do is start dropping points. And this is the equivalent of stitch in the ditch around the outside edge of this bus is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to drop the points. If we look over here in the sidebar, I'm going to make sure this is lined up because I'll drop my first point here. So I just put a circle around the mark. And you guys notice that on my screen now, in the center of my screen, in the middle of my crosshairs, I have my start and stop point on top of each other. I've dropped my first point. But you'll notice that I have above that little symbol that's that diamond. And that diamond is on the right handlebar of the Amara. And so now, as Belsie mentioned earlier, I'm able to just keep my eyes on the quilt and drop these points as I go around it. So you guys are going to see here, I am going to be doing this and moving it around. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a couple more points and then I am going to hit the refresh button here. Okay, so now you guys can see the line that I have essentially drawn, and I will continue to work my way around. Go back in the record function here. I'm going to work my way around the rest of this bus.
That is really cool, Kim.
We're going to do stitch in the ditch.
While you're tracing that, I did want to take the time to remember our quilters out there that if you are on the edge of, whether or not this is the time to go ahead and I'm kind of
why don't we switch spots here?
If you're on the edge of whether or not right now is the right time to purchase your machine, or what am I getting with my machine outside of your standard accessories that you get with your machine, right? The machine always comes with the frame, your getting started kit, which includes your bobbins, your bobbin winders, needles, really everything that you need. At this point, really what you need is your quilt top, some batting, and your backing, right? So we have a wonderful bundle that is being included with our machines. It is a roll of batting, a thread kit, superior threads actually, and we are also you have the option to pick a highlight, which again, I had mentioned, I am very blind, so having any additional light is amazing. Or even if your area does not have the adequate lighting, whether it's in a basement or your room is just a little dark, being able to add that highlight is a great addition. And then if you're on the edge of, should I add ProStitcher, right? I mean, we've been able to highlight just the amazing things that you can do with ProStitcher. You can get the $500 credit for ProStitcher, and that's to any designs on ProStitcher.com. You can use that credit. All right, well, back to you, Kim.
Yeah. No, that was great. Thank you. So you guys can look here on the screen and you can see I've got my outline of my little bus. And one thing that you have to do when you use mark is I did have to come back to that beginning first point and drop a point on top of it. This is not like area where it just automatically closes itself. If you want it to stitch, you have to tell it, I want you to stitch here. So I'm happy with how it looks. I'm going to baseline it. And one of the cool things is I could actually save this design at this point if I wanted to, and say that I made this quilt and I was doing it quick and easy. And I only pieced one of these buses, but I wanted to have more buses across my quilt. I could save this. And for example, I could just couch the outline of the bus across the rest of the quilt or something like that. Isn't that fun? So mark is really fun because you can create your own designs with it.
I can see why you love mark.
I love mark. I love mark. So let's go ahead and stitch this out. The machine's going to come up here and take that first stitch, and it's going to go ahead and stitch just exactly what I told it to. So this is just showing you guys, I did this earlier with a ruler. This is showing you another way to do stitch in the ditch all the way around a design. Isn't that cool? So cool. And so easy.
lot quicker than your rulers. I'm sorry.
It is. It is. Well, you know what? You
Yeah.
know what? It's interesting that you say
Mhm.
that because I find that yes, it stitches faster.
Yeah.
But my guess is if you actually took the amount of time it took to stitch it out,
Mhm.
and then you took the amount of time it took to set it up and stitch
Hmm.
it, I wonder which one's actually faster. Maybe we'll have to do that another
We
time.
should time it.
We
yeah.
can time it and figure it out. Probably depends on how detailed you're doing, but it's true. It is. It's faster. If rulers are not your thing, and you love ProStitcher, Mark is absolutely fantastic. I have that was the batting pole. I have entire quilts that I have done with Mark, doing like 1/4 inch away echo quilting. I use Mark a lot. I really love Mark. It's a fun feature to use. So, well, I think it's time for our giveaway, but we do have a question first.
If you use trace stitch, does that do the same thing as Mark?
So, trace area. Okay, so the question is, if you use trace area, is that the same thing as mark? Almost. So, trace area will stitch the outline of the area that you have set up. Mark allows you to go a step further. So, for example, I could have an area is always, you can't have parts of it cross over itself.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we take a look at the bus here on the screen, if I had wanted to add that outline around the wheels and have the design actually go around itself, that's that little extra bit that Mark can let you do. So while there's some similarities, Mark just gives you more options and a little more flexibility with what you can quilt. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
we're ready for the drawing.
Yeah, I think so. So
Yeah.
one last reminder,
Yeah.
I think if you haven't done so yet, our hashtag is #HQ School Bus, and that is for an opportunity to go ahead and win a $50 gift card to handyquilter.com. So while we still have a few minutes, go ahead and drop it in the comments. But I think we're pretty much getting ready to do that little giveaway.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think Brienne's spinning the wheel right now to figure out who is going to be our big winner. So just waiting here to see who it's going to be.
Pendleton.
Kevin Pendleton, you are our winner.
Congratulations.
Woo! Congratulations. So Kevin, what you need to do is email spotlight@handyquilter.com. I'm like waiting for the prompt there. I'm always like, is it HQ? Is it? It's okay. Yeah. So Kevin, email spotlight@handyquilter.com and you will receive back instructions on how to get your $50 gift card. So send that email in and we will get that gift card for you.
Also, while there are male quilters, if you're married to a Kevin Pendleton, you might have one.
So just a reminder, we know that there's lots of guys out there who like to quilt, but if you happen to be using maybe your husband's account as Kevin, be sure and double check that. We just want to make sure that you're Kevin, whoever you are, is getting your $50 gift card. So be sure and mail that in or email that in to us. Well, I think we've went over everything. Have we checked all the boxes? Are we getting 2 thumbs up? All right.
All right.
Well, Belsey, this has been so much fun.
Yes.
I love that I can now brag to people and I quilt with Belsey. She's one of
Oh,
my quilting buddies.
I think it's going to be the other way around, but okay. Yeah, Kid, this has been a pleasure and it's been so much fun. I can't express how fortunate I feel to be here at Handy Quilter and to get to hang out with just the amount of talent that is in this room. And again, to all our quilters in our community out there, we appreciate you and thank you for everything.
We do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to come back this afternoon. So we're going to be taking a break for about the next hour, 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Belsey and Tina are going to be back doing more about memory quilts this afternoon. So go grab some lunch, grab a snack, do whatever it is you want to do. Take your dog for a walk. Then be back at 1 o'clock for that. Thanks for joining us and have fun quilting.